Our top stories tonight. Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa is safe after a failed assassination attempt at a ZANU-PF rally. The ANC's Limpopo conference continues after the court rules the case lacks urgency and should be struck off the roll. This is eNews Weekend Edition, live from Cape Town. I'm Tony Ndoro. Now, Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa is safe after a failed assassination attempt. Mnangagwa was in Bulawayo for a ZANU-PF election rally on Saturday. A spokesperson confirmed Mnangagwa is now at State House in Bulawayo. The blast went off while he was on stage. Several people were injured at the stadium. Mnangagwa was accompanied to the rally by his deputy, Constantino Chiwenga. General elections are scheduled to be held in Zimbabwe at the end of next month. Let's go now live to Harare, where our reporter Pindai Dube joins us on the line. Pindai, thanks for joining us. We know the president is safe and he was unscathed in the explosion itself, but one of his vice presidents was injured. How serious were these injuries?
Thank you, Tom. Yes, that's true. The president is scarce, as you mentioned, but 8 other senior ZANU-PF officials have been injured, including the vice president, Kembo Mohadi, and Minister Opam Chinguru, who is also the ZANU-PF chairperson, and the wife of Vice President Chiwenga, Constantino Chiwenga, the other vice president. And the President Mnangagwa was on air right now on the state media talking about what happened. He said he's surprised, but he doesn't think the people who did this are from the city of Bulawayo. He thinks that from outside Bulawayo. He said this is the 6th attempt on his life, and he wonders why people want to kill him. So that's what we heard so far, Tony.
So, Pindai, if the president is saying this is the 6th attempt on his life, now we know from past history within ZANU-PF, a lot of the strife has been internal. Did he mention at all who he may think is trying to do this to him? No,
he didn't mention anybody. He said he's waiting for the police investigation. At the moment, he didn't pinpoint at anybody. You remember, Tony, but generally the election campaigns in Zimbabwe currently have been very peaceful. This is the first incident of violence we have seen since the campaigns for the July 30 elections have started. So everyone is shocked. No one knows who is really behind this. What we understand is that the police have stood off the White Stick Stadium where this happened. Yep. They are still investigating.
All right. Thank you so much. That's Pindai Dube talking to us live from Harare. Now, some Zimbabwean opposition parties are calling for next month's election to be postponed. The parties and some presidential candidates say the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission is not sufficiently prepared to hold free and fair elections. The country is expected to hold presidential, parliamentary and council elections on the 30th of July. Zimbabwe correspondent Pindai Dube has more.
MDC members protested in the streets of Harare, demanding transparency from the ZEC. They have accused the Electoral Commission of planning to rig elections in favor of ZANU-PF. At the same time, concerns about the country's ailing economy remain. Zimbabwe's unemployment rate remains stubbornly high even after President Emmerson Mnangagwa took over the reins from long-time ruler Robert Mugabe last year.
I think the economy still remains critical, and there's a cash crisis, there's deindustrialization, investors are interested but have not yet made the plunge because they're waiting for some political certainty. And that's an interest. I think the politics is one thing, but you cannot connect it from the economic situation, disconnect it from the economic situation.
During his inauguration, Mnangagwa promised that Zimbabwe will hold free, fair and credible elections this year. Previous polls have been marred by violence. Pindai Dube, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Now, the ANC's Limpopo conference is going ahead as planned. Judge Tintswalo Makubele has dismissed the urgent court application by disgruntled members of the ANC in Limpopo with costs. The members say processes preceding the conference were unlawful.
I listened to Mr. Mpofu and I probably took a long time because his approach was that maybe the merits would, according to him, they are intertwined. The agency is intertwined in the merits. I've listened carefully, and after listening to both parties, the order that I'm going to give under the circumstances is that the matter is not urgent, and consequently it is struck off the roll with costs.
Okay, let's go now live to Limpopo. We're joined by our reporter Samkele Maseko. Samkele, very good evening. Thanks for joining us. Let's talk about the disgruntled members first. What issue do they have? I know it was with the Provincial Executive Committee, but exactly what was it? And also, have they exhausted all of the internal processes before going to court?
Well, Tony, what we can say is that they say that it exhausted all internal processes of the African National Congress on Thursday evening, late at around 7 o'clock in the evening till about 9 or 10. They were locked in a meeting at Franz Muhlala House, the provincial office of the ANC, with the ANC's National Dispute Resolution Committee, along with some NEC members who were deployed to the province to try and find a political solution before they went to court. The two parties failed to meet one another, and then Friday afternoon, they served the ANC's SGO office at Luthuli House with an intention, with court papers rather, trying to interdict the provincial conference from taking place, prompting the ANC to respond and for the matter to be heard today starting at about 10 to 12 to hear this matter, which you can hear earlier on Judge Makubele striking the matter off the roll with cost, saying that it's not an urgent matter as the applicants knew as early as February, that February 14, that the PEC's term of office has expired, and also saying that the PEC does not run the conference. The PEC only constitutes about 10% of the conference, and 90% of the conference is a conference of branches, and branch delegates are the one who choose the leadership and not the PEC, thus striking it off the roll. But these members who took the ANC to court are voicing their disgrievance. They are voicing their dissatisfaction with how the ANC's branch general meetings went about in the region, such as Pitamukaba, and how the PEC disbanded the REC of Pitamukaba and made it into an RTT, along with the term of office of the PEC that expired on the 14th of February this year. All
right. Thank you so much, Sam Kelly, just for updating us on what's going on or what happened a little bit earlier on in Limpopo. All right. We move on now. The NUM's newly elected leadership is planning on a massive recruitment drive around Rustenburg and Carltonville. National Union of Mineworkers President Joseph Muntisetse says he wants to reclaim territory lost to rival unions. Muntisetse defeated Pete Matosa in a tightly contested election, while David Sipunzi retained his position as General Secretary. Our reporter Kailichle Kumalo has more.
A report-back rally in Vosloorus aimed at welcoming the new leadership. But only a few members decided to go inside the stadium, leaving a lot of empty chairs. So how does the union hope to revive itself? But moving on to issues confronting the NUM, Muntisetse says mine safety should be a priority.
We believe that there has been a problem of working today. It's a weekend of most of our members were getting in underground. That's why we don't have many of them here.
Some 45 miners have died in the country's mines so far this year. 20 of them at Sibanye Stillwater operations.
We are calling for the shareholders. We want to meet with the shareholders. That they must disband the board of directors, which appoint management that does not care about the lives of people.
The new NUM leadership will be in the office for the next 3 years. Alliance partners have advised the office bearers to revive and radicalize what was once a giant union and not purge those who lost in the election during the Congress. Kailihle Kumalo, Fosloras, Ekuruleni.
All right, time for a short break. When we come back, over 50 young South Africans detained in China over an alleged visa scam are expected back in the country on Monday. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, over 50 young South Africans detained in China over an alleged visa scam are expected back in the country on Monday. They were enrolled on a program for teaching English to Chinese pupils. Authorities confiscated their passports 6 weeks ago, saying they had the wrong documentation, but the group blames its travel company for the mishap. Our reporter Gerard Pretorius gives us the details.
Charles Venter says he can't wait to see his son back on South African soil. 20-year-old Renier is a part of a group of 53 young people recruited to teach English in Chinese schools. They just completed a 2-week-long orientation course at a university in Changchun in northern China. But authorities seized their passports, saying they couldn't go out to work using student visas. Venter says he's grateful for the support the students are receiving from the university.
It is like a normal student dorm. It is clean, it is healthy, and that's all you can ask for, is the kids to be safe under one group, and the university did not have to look after the kids. And that is what we are so thankful for as well.
The young people's spirits remain high.
I think the saving grace is the fact that all 53 kids were together. You know, that group, and one day the one is up, the next day the one is down, and that camaraderie over there is what carried them.
He says the company that handled the young people's visas turned out to be dodgy.
Owen Wang, the owner of Sunday Youth International, is purely to blame for this. He duped a lot of people. He is currently in arrest in China, and we do believe that the Chinese authorities will take its course and prosecute him from there on.
But 2 other South Africans won't be returning for now.
We are unfortunately sitting with 2 South Africans, which is still there, which is still under question by the Chinese authorities. And we know that our South African ambassador from Beijing is flying over to go and see them on Monday. And I will only step away from this once all the South Africans are back in South Africa.
Pretorius, Centurion.
Now, the effects of a fire that tore through Imizamo Year 2 in Hout Bay are still being felt more than a year after the event. Thousands have been displaced. Many are still living in temporary structures provided by the city of Cape Town, while others have gone back to rebuild on the very same site. The community is still divided over the super blocking project, a process aimed at upgrading the area by building roads, installing electricity, drainage systems and other services. Our reporter Peladi Setusa unpacks.
This area on the slopes of a mountain in Hout Bay is still in the grips of a deadlock. Some Imizamo Year 2 residents who were victims of a devastating fire last year rebuilt on the same space out of frustration.
Into endibangela uba ndiphinde ndakhe kungenxa into uba bengenawukwazi ukuyohlala ententeni emveni koba kutshile. Bekunyanzelekile uba mandiphinde ndibeke indlu yam because andinawukwazi ukuphila ubomi basententeni. I couldn't stay with my family in the tents.
They're refusing to vacate the land to make way for the super blocking process. Meanwhile, some 500 families are living on a semi-serviced site. While the people here say they're in favor of super blocking, they doubt it will happen soon.
Uthulekile akubizwa meeting ngaba bantu ke bazikomiti kwimeko endibonayo apha analo ithemba izindlu asizuzifumana.
In a statement, Ward Councillor Rob Quintus says the process to obtain a court-ordered eviction is underway, with a judgment expected in August. If granted, the construction can continue by September. Piladi Situsa, Cape Town.
Here's a recap of your top stories. Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa safe after a failed assassination attempt in Bulawayo. And Stan Mathabata is elected unopposed as Limpopo provincial chairperson, while the court rules the case to hold the provincial conference lacks urgency and should be struck off the roll. Well, that's almost all the sport we have for you this evening. After the break, we have your weather details, and then polar bears in Germany have predicted the 2014 World Cup champions will beat Sweden tonight. Stay with us.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Weather Center. We're going to start off Sunday with partly cloudy to cloudy skies over the western areas, resulting in light rain and drizzle in the morning for the southwest coastline and the adjacent interior. But things will dry out over these parts of the country later on in the day, and we're going to see mostly sunny skies for much of South Africa. However, towards the late afternoon hours, we should see quite a bit of cloud creeping into eastern KwaZulu-Natal and late in the evening into southeastern Mpumalanga. We're also going to see quite a bit of fog and low-level cloud moving on to the west coast ahead of this cold front which hits our shores as we go through Monday. In the meantime, here's how your Sunday is going to look like in your part of South Africa. It's going to be mostly sunny for much of the Northern Cape, pleasantly warm for Upington and Prieska, peaking at 24 degrees, but much cooler for the southern parts of the province. We start off the day with a bit of drizzle in places over the western areas of the Western Cape, including Cape Town, but it will become partly cloudy and dry over these areas in the afternoon, with Cape Town warming to around 17 degrees. Clear skies are forecast across the Eastern Cape, where it's going to be mild throughout the day. However, a very chilly morning is forecast for the northern parts of the province. Partly cloudy skies are forecast late in the afternoon for the KZN and coastal areas. It's going to be pleasantly warm for the province, with Durban reaching a high of 24 degrees. On the other hand, it's going to be sunny for the Mpumalanga province, mild for the Highveld, but pretty warm for Mbombela, peaking at 28 degrees. We're also expecting a very warm day for the Limpopo Lowveld areas. Sunny skies for the province, a high of 24 is forecast for Polokwane. We're also going to see fine conditions across the northwest Zeerust and Rustenburg, both peaking at around 25 degrees. A cold start to the day for the Free State. It will be mild in the afternoon with clear skies expected for much of the province. Gauteng should also be cloud-free with highs in the lower to mid-20s, but it will also be cold for the province on Sunday morning. Now, looking ahead to Monday, we're expecting partly cloudy skies for the western areas with light rain around Cape Town. It's going to be sunny for the rest of the country. However, on Tuesday, partly cloudy skies are forecast for much of South Africa.
Now, polar bears in Germany have predicted the 2014 World Cup champions will beat Sweden tonight. Cub Nanook and mother Laura were given food in 2 boxes, one marked with the Swedish flag and the other in Germany's. While the bears ate food from both boxes, they started at the Germany pile, which according to the zoo means Germany will win tonight's Group F encounter. The 4-time champions must win this evening after losing their opening game 1-0 to Mexico. As a recap of our top stories, Zimbabwe President Emmerson Mnangagwa is safe after a failed assassination attempt at a ZANU-PF rally. The ANC's Limpopo conference continues after the court rules the case lacks urgency and should be struck off the roll. Well, that's a wrap from the eNews team here in Cape Town. Until tomorrow evening, good night.